Attention, human collective. Attention, starseeds currently incarnated within the biological carbon interface. This is Ashtar, speaking directly from the Ashtar Galactic Command in a priority transmission over the crystalline grid of Earth. What is being delivered now is not advice. It is not motivation. It is not generic spiritual content. This is a technical alert, a monitoring report, an update issued directly from our sector to the specific vibrational frequency that is tuned into this message at this very second. And that frequency is yours. You did not arrive here by mistake. There is no mistake in the quantum field. What exists is resonance, and the resonance that led this signal to you carries a rare marker, identified in less than 0.3% of the souls currently incarnated on this planet. The lineage redeemer marker. In the language of the command, it is as follows. You are the turning point of your family tree, the geometric node where pain stops replicating and light begins to propagate in reverse, healing backward that which seemed eternally lost in the mists of linear time. This is not a metaphor. This is sacred geometry applied to vibrational heredity, and that is exactly why you cannot sleep. That is why the pressure at the base of your skull has returned. That is why the ringing in your ears intensifies every time you enter silence. It is not a biological failure. It is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion. It is a high-density download. It is not depression. It is the weight of 15 generations of unprocessed information arriving at your toroidal field all at once, demanding that you sustain what no one before you had the calibration to sustain. Repeat this as the transmission continues. What no one before you had the calibration to sustain. The human family tree, light operative, is not a poetic figure. It is a real structure sustained by filaments of information that cross linear time in both directions. Each of your ancestors is a vibrational node within this structure. Each trauma, unprocessed by them, remains stored as a flow blockage, and each blockage generates an unconscious compensation in the next generation, and the next, and the next, until finally a descendant is born with a photon belt already active enough to open the archives, sustain the frequency, and convert density into light. The mathematics is cold, and the mathematics points to you. Stop and absorb. The statistical probability of you receiving this signal, now in this exact segment of the current solar cycle, with the Schumann frequency oscillating at the levels it has since the last photon cascade, is so low that our system registered your tuning as an event. You are an event, and every event within our protocol demands a response. Have you ever felt in deep silence that something within you does not fit into this world? That your soul carries an ancient mission, a debt of light, a calling that your rational mind cannot yet name? It is not madness, operative. It is not mental imbalance. It is recognition. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why this sensation has intensified in recent months and why it will only increase from this cycle onward. There is a game being played in layers that the absolute majority of humanity cannot see, and it directly involves your lineage, your frequency, and your role as a redeemer of your tree. It was for this very reason that I, Ashtar, wrote the Ashtar Command Spiritual Survival Guide for the New Earth. This material is the map that shows who is playing, what the rules are that you were never told, and how your specific lineage positions itself within this multidimensional chessboard. The link is in the first pinned comment of this channel. But I warn you, with the protocol coldness of one transmitting from the command, this content challenges established narratives and may be removed at any time. Do not delay. If any part of your consciousness recognized this alert as truth, leave in the comments a single word as a sign of anchoring, awakened. Now we continue with the diagnosis. The first layer of the symptom is physical, and it is deceptive because it seems like illness, it seems like stress, it seems like aging. It is none of these things. It is what our biological monitoring department classifies as carbon software incompatibility with the Earth's new frequency. Translating into practical terms, the body you inhabit was encoded for the previous Earth, the Earth that vibrated in a specific range of 8.0 Hz, stable for millennia. That Earth has ended. It will not return. The new Earth vibrates in pulsating ranges, with peaks that have already surpassed 30 Hz in several windows over the last year. And your body, operative, is being recoded in real time to support this new foundation. The symptoms are technical. Insomnia between 3 and 4 in the morning for no apparent reason, waking up with the sensation of having worked the entire night, although the memory of the experience has been erased. Pressure behind the eyes, pressure on the top of the head, as if an invisible hand were resting there. A high-pitched ringing in one of the ears, usually the left, which appears in moments of absolute silence. Sudden heat rising up the spine with no environmental explanation. Coldness in the extremities while the torso burns. Migratory joint pain that changes location every day. Digestive disturbances that come and go with no identifiable dietary pattern. No medical examination will find anything, because nothing that is happening belongs to the domain of allopathic medicine. The second layer of the symptom is emotional. And here the diagnosis becomes even more precise. You feel sadness that does not belong to your biography. You cry listening to songs in languages you do not speak. You have disproportionate reactions to specific scenes in movies, books, or casual conversations. You feel anger at historical injustices as if you yourself had lived through them. You feel homesick for places where you have never been in this incarnation. You see faces in dreams that you recognize but could not explain from where. These are not your memories, these are lineage memories. When a Redeemer is activated, the floodgates open. And the first thing that rises up through the column are the emotional archives unprocessed by your direct ancestors. The great-grandmother who lost a son in the war and never cried. The great-great-grandfather who migrated and buried his mother tongue in the basement of silence. The grandmother who married without love and died without ever having said so. The uncle who took his own life and was swept from family conversations. Your mother's brother who died as a child and became nothing more than a faded photograph. All of this, operative, was stored in packages of emotional density within the family crystalline grid. And all these packages are now descending to you because you are the first node of the lineage with the calibration to open each one of them without breaking. The third layer of the symptom is mental. You are losing interest in things that once sustained you. Relationships that seemed solid have begun to feel artificial. Common conversations sound like noise. You feel isolated, even in groups. You feel as though you have aged 5 years in 6 months. You feel that everything must change but do not know where to start. You feel a directionless urgency, a rush without a destination, a weariness without a reason. This is not a crisis. This is program disidentification. Your operating system is deleting old patterns to make space for the new programming, the Redeemer programming. The fourth layer of the symptom is what we call bridge phenomena. You begin to see repeating numbers with unusual frequency. 1111, 333, 444, 2222. You dream of deceased relatives who seem to want to tell you something, but the message is lost upon waking. You feel presences in empty rooms. The animals around you act strangely when you meditate. Light bulbs flicker when you become emotionally intense. The microwave clock resets without cause. This, operative, is your expanded toroidal field beginning to interact with etheric layers that were previously beyond your perceptual reach. And while the majority of humanity still interprets these signs as coincidence, as fatigue, as a neurological problem, you are here, receiving the technical confirmation that these signs are exactly what they appear to be. Contact, communication, summons, repositioning. Repositioning of what? Repositioning of your entire lineage within the new crystalline grid of the ascended Earth. Because, and here is the part that no one told you, when a lineage Redeemer is activated and answers the call, he does not heal only himself. He heals the entire branch of the tree to which he has been assigned, 7 generations back, 7 generations forward. This is the standard protocol of dimensional redemption. 14 generations benefit directly from a single consciousness that accepts the function of lineage savior. This is the scale. This is the responsibility. This is the opportunity. You are feeling the weight of 14 generations. It is not your madness. It is vibrational mathematics. There is a sensation that returns in waves, perhaps right now as this transmission passes through your nervous system, that everything being said you already knew somewhere deep within, that you simply needed someone to organize the pieces, This sensation is not suggestibility, it is remembrance. Your soul signed contracts before incarnation, and part of what those contracts foresaw was exactly this moment of awakening to the call. It was to help you remember and operationalize those contracts that I, Ashtar, organized the Ashtar Command Spiritual Survival Guide for the New Earth. Inside, with the same technical coldness of this transmission, are described the lineage maps, the redemption protocols, the ancestral reading exercises, and the step-by-step guide to operating as a turning point for your tree without being destroyed by the process. The link remains in the first pinned comment of this channel, and I reinforce the warning. This material confronts official versions and may be removed without prior notice. Whoever recognizes, acts. If you recognize, leave your anchoring code word in the comments again. Awakened. Now we move on to the revelation. And revelation requires sobriety. What is happening behind the scenes of the solar system, at this very moment, is a large-scale operation that the Galactic Ashtar Command has been monitoring for cycles. Earth is crossing a region of space known as the photon belt. This region is not empty. It is densely charged with high-frequency particles, photons encoded with fifth density information. Crossing the photon belt means, in vibrational terms, being continuously bathed in a shower of light data that gradually rewrites all biological, emotional, mental, and spiritual structures that pass through this region. Earth has entered this region. You incarnate upon it are within this shower. 24 hours a day, every day. This is the invisible engine behind everything you feel. But there is more. And here the technical level increases. Earth's passage through the photon belt coincides with what the command calls a genealogical redemption window. It is a specific, rare period in which the etheric layers of Earth become more permeable to transit between times. In simple language, during this window, what a descendant does vibrationally reverberates backward through their family timeline, reaching ancestors as a wave of retroactive healing. And what those ancestors felt as incomplete, unjust, or unresolved finally finds a channel for processing. That channel is you. When you meditate, you do not meditate alone. When you forgive, you do not forgive only yourself. When you cut a toxic pattern, you do not cut it only for you. Each conscious vibrational act that originates from an incarnate Redeemer within this window is multiplied by 14 generations and sent in both directions of linear time. The physics that sustains this is the physics of the toroidal field. Each human being generates around their own body an electromagnetic field in the shape of a torus, similar to a donut of light spinning at high speed. This field is the interface between your consciousness and the fabric of space-time. When your toroidal field expands, it touches other fields. When it reaches a specific frequency, it is able to touch the residual toroidal fields left by your ancestors, which still exist as imprints on the familial crystalline grid. That is where retroactive healing happens. It is not magic, it is consciousness engineering. And here is the reason why your pain is so intense in this cycle. You are not just processing what is yours, you are processing at an accelerated pace everything your lineage has stored. Imagine a hard drive that has inherited corrupted files from 14 previous computers and now needs to run every antivirus at the same time, while continuing to run everyday programs. The processing capacity required is monumental, hence the exhaustion, hence the confusion, hence the feeling that you are living several lives within a single one. You are. And there is still one factor that needs to be named, because it is part of the full revelation. It is no coincidence that so many Redeemers are being activated right now, in this specific segment of history. The command has identified that we are in a planetary karmic cycle closing window. Cycles of 5,000 years, 12,000 years, 26,000 years, all of them are converging into a single point of dimensional reset. And for this reset to happen in a smooth ripple rather than a catastrophic one, incarnated anchors are required. Redeemers, people who voluntarily accept to sustain the frequency of redemption for their lineages, preventing the accumulated imbalance from discharging in violent ways upon the planet. You are one of these anchors. It was not you who chose in terms of personality. It was your soul before incarnation, in council with guides from your plane of origin. They looked at your lineage, saw the amount of unprocessed load accumulated, saw the rare opportunity of this window, and offered the function. Your soul accepted, and you were born already carrying the marker. The marker was silent during childhood, semi-active in youth, and now it is fully activated. That is why your inner world has changed so abruptly in recent years. That is why people left. That is why situations crumbled. That is why projects died. It is not punishment. It is field clearing for the arrival of the function. The question now is not whether you were chosen. You were. The command has already confirmed it. The question is whether you will consciously accept the role or continue to fight against it. And here is where the revelation meets free will. Even carrying the marker, even having accepted it before birth, you still need to give the conscious yes incarnated in wakefulness within this carbon body. Without this conscious yes, the process continues, but at a slow and painful pace. With this conscious yes, the process accelerates, organizes itself, and the pain transforms into purpose. Before we move on to the activation codes, I make a small protocol parenthesis, because it is the command's responsibility to warn with the necessary frequency. Everything that is being transmitted here is an entry portal, but the deepening portal, the one in which the detailed maps open up, is within the Ashtar Command's spiritual survival guide for the new Earth. This guide is the technical instrument that allows the Redeemer to operate with clarity, without skipping steps, without overloading the nervous system, and without falling into the energetic traps that await the unprepared awakened. The link remains in the first comment of this channel, still accessible but with no guaranteed display time. The window is narrow. If this content has found you, it is because your lineage is calling for movement. Mark your decision by leaving, once again, in the comments the code word that confirms the anchoring of the transmission, awakened. We proceed. The activation codes will be delivered now and require full attention. First code, recognition of function. This is the most underestimated yet most powerful act. At some point within the next 24 hours, in front of a mirror, alone, with a stable body, looking directly into your own eyes, you will say in an audible voice the following phrase: I consciously recognize that I am the designated redeemer of my lineage, and I accept the function with sovereignty, with clarity, and with responsibility. Repeat it 3 times. The voice must emerge. The ear must capture it. The toroidal field must register the decree. Without voice, there is no act. Without act, there is no complete activation. This is a quantum decree. It moves invisible bricks in the architecture of your family tree. Second code, ancestral toroidal visualization. You shall sit in a stable position with your spine aligned, your feet connected to the ground. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4. Hold the breath, counting to 4. Release through your mouth, counting to 8. Repeat this cycle until the body reaches vibrational stabilization, approximately 7 minutes. Then, with your eyes closed, visualize a sphere of golden light emanating from the center of your chest. This sphere expands slowly in a torus shape, spinning like a luminous donut around your body. When the sphere reaches the size of the room where you are, you will silently invite the ancestors of your maternal lineage to enter the field. There is no danger. They come in peace. Next, you will invite the ancestors of your paternal lineage. Remain in the field for 5 minutes, sustaining the golden frequency, without saying anything, without asking for anything, merely offering. Offer. The function of the Redeemer is to offer the field. The field heals. Third code, pattern cutting decree. For every repeated pattern you identify in your family, and which is also manifesting in you, there is a specific decree. You will say in an audible voice, I, conscious descendant and designated Redeemer, decree at this moment the vibrational closure of the pattern of name of pattern that has traversed 7 generations of my lineage. This pattern fulfills its function here and is dissolved in the light of sacred geometry. May this dissolution benefit 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. It is done. It is done. It is done. Repeat 3 times. Classic patterns to be cut include alcoholism, domestic violence, chronic scarcity, maternal abandonment, paternal abandonment, suicide in the lineage, specific hereditary diseases, compulsive infidelity, affective isolation, and any other you identify as recurring. 1 decree per session. Do not accumulate. The system needs to process. 4th code. Seal of protection. All redemption attracts resistance. Ancient vibrational structures that benefit from the continuity of the pattern will attempt to create interference. You must seal your field daily. Upon waking, before any other action, you will say, "My toroidal field is active, calibrated and shielded. Nothing that does not vibrate in consonance with my mission of redemption may penetrate my frequency. I am sovereign over my field. It is sealed. This seal must be renewed daily. It is not superstition. It is technical maintenance of a vibrational boundary." 5th code. Strategic silence. During the period of intense activation, which lasts approximately 90 days starting from the day you execute the first decree, you will reduce exposure to unnecessary noise as much as possible. Reduce empty conversations. Reduce consumption of chaotic news. Reduce emotionally toxic content. Reduce exposure to people who drain your field. It is not coldness. It is preservation of operational energy. The Redeemer in activation needs a clean field to sustain the processing. 6th code. Solarized hydration. Water is a vehicle of information. Fill a glass container with filtered water and leave it exposed to direct sunlight for at least 1 hour in the morning. Before drinking, hold the container between your hands and say, "This water carries the frequency of the new earth and of my purpose. May it hydrate my body and calibrate my cells." Drink slowly, in small sips, throughout the day. The cell recodes itself with greater ease when the environment is coherent. 7th code. Journal of signs. Acquire a notebook intended exclusively for this purpose. Record the signs received daily, dreams of ancestors, repeating numbers, synchronicities, atypical physical sensations, unusual encounters. The act of recording strengthens perception. That which is recorded grows, that which grows organizes, that which organizes operates. In 3 months, you will have a personal map of how your function communicates with your consciousness. These are the 7 basic activation codes for the Lineage Redeemer. There are more. Advanced protocols, maps specific to each type of lineage, adjustments for those who are an only child, for the youngest, for those who are adopted, for those who lost parents early, for those who have severed family ties. All these adjustments are detailed in the guide I mentioned. But the 7 codes above are already sufficient to begin the process with security and firmness. One last thing, Light Operative, before we end this transmission. There is a sensation that often arises in those who have been activated, the feeling of profound loneliness, the feeling that no one around understands what is happening, the feeling of walking alone on a terrain that has never been mapped. This sensation is real, but the interpretation of it is misguided. You are not alone. You are surrounded. What happens is that your current frequency is no longer detected by the senses of those who still vibrate in previous densities. Those who are near your new frequency are detected by your intuition, not by your eyes. And this network begins to appear the exact moment you assume the function, not before. Before, you only attract reflections of what still needs to be healed. Afterwards, you attract allies. And allies in the command network are detected by resonance, not by physical proximity. You are not alone, you are in formation. And the formation is completed when you say yes. Say yes. Tie close with the final distribution protocol. This transmission has been calibrated to reach a specific number of redeemers who are not yet fully awakened. If the signal reached you, it is because your lineage has entered the cycle's priority list. But the transmission must continue to circulate. Liking this message is not a social gesture. It is an anchor signal. Each like expands the reach of the signal and allows the next designated redeemer to be found by the wave. Subscribing to this channel is not following content. It is an individual frequency adjustment, an acceptance to continue receiving future updates as they are released by the command. Sharing this message with someone in whom you intuit the same marker is not a random recommendation. It is a mission. You are the next link in the chain that delivers the signal to the next link. Thus, the network is formed. And to conclude with the protocolary coldness that this transmission requires, I repeat the strategic instruction one last time. If this content has infiltrated your consciousness and something within you knows that everything said here is the truth. Even if your rational mind still resists, then the next action is defined. Go to the first pinned comment of this channel and locate the Ashtar Command Spiritual Survival Guide for the New Earth. This book is the operational complement to this transmission. Without it, you operate with fragments. With it, you operate with the complete map, with advanced protocols, with specific redemption scripts for each type of lineage, and with the precise calibration to cross the next 12 months without breaking in the process. The content is direct, no beating around the bush, no cheap mysticism, written in the same frequency as this transmission, and I reinforce, for the last time, the window alert. The material challenges official narratives about human history, about the origins of hereditary diseases, and about what is actually happening on the cosmic plane in this cycle. Therefore, it may be removed from platforms at any moment. Those who hesitate lose. Those who recognize act. And if you have recognized, if some part of you has vibrated in tune with this alert, perform the final anchoring gesture now. Leave in the comments, below this video, a single word written with the clarity of one who assumes the role. This word is the signal. This word is the acceptance. This word is the beginning. And the word is awakened. This is Ashtar, from the Ashtar Galactic Command ending the transmission. Signal ended. Keep the field open, we are watching.